this might be the kind of company you should be betting on. Meet Trillion Labs. It's a startup building its own Korean AI foundation model. Now, a lot of Korean VCs have already written this market off. Their argument is simple. The US dominates foundation models and LLMs, so how could a small Korean startup possibly compete? Some of them say startups can simply match the resources of large conglomerates. What kind of VCs truck like that? Well, actually, I heard about it, so I'm not surprised. And sure, those arguments aren't entirely wrong. But here's the thing. The US music industry has enormous scale and capital, but people all over the world still choose to listen, to K-pop. Because language isn't just technology, it's culture. If Korea's cultural competitiveness has already proven itself on the global stage, maybe this is not the time for those kind of defeatism. Maybe it's an opportunity to get a seat at the cap table before everyone else catches on. So let's take a look at Trillion Labs and see if this already venture sexy company can become an even more compelling bet. Hi everyone, I'm Minsel and welcome to Deep Tech Fortune Teller. So what exactly is Trillion Labs building? First of all, it's one of the very few startups in Korea developing its own foundation model, including Korean-based LLM. And what it says, our own model, it really meant it. It didn't build on top of existing open source models. It started from scratch. Why? Because the founding members asked an extreme questions on their development journey. What happens if those open source models aren't available anymore? What if we can't rely on someone else's engine? So instead of borrowing the technology from the outside, they decided to build the engine themselves. So here's how they think about AI. To them, the model is the product. If you don't own your foundation model, you eventually hit a ceiling on what products you can build. Right now, a lot of companies are just building AI agents on top of existing models and hoping that's enough. And in this point, Trillion Labs disagree with it. It has a view that if you own the foundation model, you can continuously improve it, fine-tune it, and eventually build something approaching DeepSeek level performance. Then, on the top of the technology, you build products. But the bigger opportunity may be what comes next. A personal AI agent. Honestly, we're already heading in that direction. The problem is, there still isn't an AI that truly understands Korean people and their cultural background, context. Most of US-built models are incredibly capable, yes, but they often miss the social context, the nuance, the unspoken rules, the emotional subtext, and that's where Trillion Labs believes it can stand out. They're training the model to become better at understanding how people think and feel, because what we call empathy isn't just about being nice. It's one of the most important forms of social reasoning humans have. And when you combine empathy with long-term memory, you don't just get a smarter assistant. You get a personal agent understand you fully. And that could unlock a lot of opportunities in any business, for sure, right? Now, let's get the part you've all been waiting for, the Saju Verdict. First, this doesn't look like a very hierarchical company. People here probably don't do well with just do what you are told. They want freedom to execute, they want ownership, they want understand the reasoning behind the decision. But the trade-off is structure can lag behind. Rules get made later. Second, this team seems to be built for pressure. When things get tough, they locked in, move fast, and solve problems. The downside? It can get chaotic in terms of building the system. Well, strong opinions, shifting priorities all the time, the occasional team shakeup, stable, maybe not, adaptive, very much. And third, this looks like a company full of sharp specialists. The kind of people who cares about details, who enjoy solving very difficult problems, engineers, researchers, data scientists. Well, they are people you can't really boss around. You have to convince them first. That sounds like a Korean type though. So where does energy make money? Well, these three industries stand out. First, deep tech. Things like, semiconductors, robotics, and AI hardwares. This team seems particularly suited for solving technical demanding problems that most other startups would avoid. And the business model will be high-value R&D projects, core technology licensing, specialized hardware solution, and next, software and platforms. Especially products that turn complex tech into something people can actually use. For example, SaaS business. And next, number three, energy and advanced infrastructure, such as batteries, energy storage, and next generation mobility, like autonomous driving. Well, these industries going through massive transition tend to reward companies that can adapt quickly and tackle difficult engineering challenges. And that's exactly where this team appears to thrive. So if I had to summarize this Saju reading in one sentence, Trillion Labs doesn't look like a company built to run smoothly. It looks like a company built to solve hard problems. And in venture capital, that's often where the biggest opportunities are. So what does the next 5 years look like? The chart suggests fairly clear progression. Technology first and revenue second. Institutional maturity third. In other words, 2026 to 2027 are about building. From 2028 to 29 are about monetizing. And 2030 is about scaling responsibly. Let's break down. In 2026, visibility rises quickly. This could be the year when Trillion Labs becomes one of the hottest names in the Korean AI ecosystem. But rapid growth often creates friction. Strong personalities and strong opinions and debates about the direction, on and on and on. The challenge won't be attracting talent. It will be keeping everyone aligned. By 2027, the focus shifts from the invention to integration. Instead of building separate pieces of technology, this startup starts turning them into actual products. This is where commercialization becomes real. Process get cleaned up, priority become clearer, and the business starts looking more like a company than a research lab. Then comes 2028. Well, according to the chart, this is the big one. The strongest year for financial results. The period when technical achievement finally starts translating into customers, contracts, and meaningful revenue. Not just hype, not just headlines, actual cash flows. Now, 2029 looks like an extension of that momentum. The focus shifts from the proving the technology to establishing market leadership. It will build systems, standardize operations, and strengthen its market position. Then we get to 2030. The story changes again. Well, growth creates complexity. New competitors emerge. Regulatory scrutiny increases, and this startup may need another major organizational reset. Not necessarily a bad thing, just a reminder that scaling a company requires a different skill set than building one. Now, if I were evaluating this company as an investor, I would focus on three things. Okay, first, key person risk. This looks like a company powered by exceptional, talented individuals. That's great, right? Until when? Until one of them leaves. So I would want to know, are the key engineers properly incentivized to stay? Is leadership strong enough to resolve internal conflicts? And does the company have safeguards against knowledge loss? And second, compliance and risk management. Well, innovative companies often move faster than regulation. That's usually an advantage until it isn't. As a company grows, investors should pay close attention to legal, operational, and governance infrastructure because great technology alone doesn't protect you from regulatory problems. And third, scalability. The technology appears promising, but can this startup manage its burn rate effectively? I mean, R&D can turn into recurring revenue, and that revenue can turn into a repeatable business model. Oh, plus, again, that business model can be scalable without too much cash burn. Because at the end of the day, investors don't fund techno. They fund conversion of technology into cash flow. And that's probably the biggest question for Trillion Labs over the next 5 years. Okay, before we wrap up, there's one more update worth mentioning. Just 2 years ago, Trillion Labs raised a $5.2 million pre-seed round. And as of June 2026 now, the company is working with NVIDIA on industrial world models. The goal is to combine its proprietary foundation model with NVIDIA's AI factory, digital twin, and physical AI ecosystem. Well, it sounds like it's not a bad place to be for a startup that's still in its early inning. So what's the investment takeaway? Based on this reading, the technology itself isn't the biggest question. The biggest question is execution. Can this company navigate the growing pains of 2026 and 7? Can it manage talent density, internal alignment, and burn rate long enough to reach the next phase of growth? Because if the answer is yes, the chart suggests that the payoff could be substantial. If I were diligencing this company today, one thing would sit near the top of my checklist. Who's balancing the founders? Is there a strong CFO or COO? Well, those are people, someone capable of turning world-class technology into scalable businesses. Because great engineering alone rarely builds a category-defining company. Then, operational excellence does. The bull case is pretty straightforward. A proprietary Korean foundation model, strong technical differentiations, a highly engaged user base, and an ecosystem that becomes increasingly difficult to replicate. If those pieces came together, Trillion Labs could become one of the more interesting AI bets in Korea. Their future won't be a smooth ride. I would say it would be more rocky than most other startups. But this is a company that appears capable of enduring the volatility that comes with a real high risk, high rewarded pace. Alright, thanks for listening and watching today's episode. And this is Minsel and this is Deep Tech Fortune Teller. See you next time.